Hi, this is János, this is the channel Real World Audio, and today I'm doing something really special. I'm answering Thomas's question. So he just made a video on single driver speakers. He presented the beautiful Lee song speaker, and he was asking in his video that if you have experience with single driver speakers, then put it in the comments. And I was thinking it's just like I have too much to type into a comment, so I just rather make a video. I hope, Thomas, you won't mind it. And as you can see, there's a little hint behind me that I probably have some experience with single driver speakers. And yes, I do. So basically, for more than 20 years, I have been building single driver speakers, and mostly for myself. And I have lots of friends who were also building such speakers, such cabinets with drivers like that. And I have also designed quite a few for friends. And so basically there was a lot in 20 years that I have experienced and toyed around with, and hopefully I have a lot to share that will be useful for everyone who is interested in single driver speakers. What does that mean? So basically it's one driver producing the entire spectrum of the sound. So they're also called full range drivers, and that's not because they are full range, so they play from, let's say, 10 hertz to 50 kilohertz, the entire range that you are able to hear from a recording, but it's that the full range that's being reproduced is produced by a single driver. And of course there are some preconceptions about them, and these preconceptions really come about and from the limitations that you need to reproduce from very high frequencies through very low frequencies with a single moving unit, with a single voice coil. And that's a really, really high demand. And that has some complications as well, that it's very, very hard task to do for a driver, but it also has wonderful advantages, that we hear coherent sound that's not broken up to different sources, spaced in different spaces. So basically, if you have multiple drivers, you have sound coming from multiple sources, and depending on where you sit, the sound coming from these sources mix up differently. So even if you think that you can time align them by using DSP, but then you time align it for a single listening position. If you move to a different position, then that alignment that works to that specific position doesn't work anymore. Well, I could talk hours and hours about what the limitations and benefits are, but that would not tell much for you, I think, because those who are listening this video really want to know more about whether you will like these or not, because what Thomas said in his video is that he had to switch his brain to a different mode when he is listening to single driver speakers. And I totally agree with him, because they present sound so much different from regular loudspeakers that first we are just shocked, just what's going on, and we don't understand like how can this sound so different from what we are used to. And because of their different strengths and different weaknesses, we get a very different perspective on the recordings. And certain recordings which we thought as they're fabulous, they are fabulous because they are mixed for multi-driver speakers. And when you listen to on a single driver speaker, which does not butcher the mid-range, then you can hear that that recording was really, they did some hinkiness in the mid-range to make it sound good on the vast majority of speakers, but you can hear it very well on a single driver speaker. On the other way, if you have a recording without processing, without EQing on the vocals, they just render vocals, human voices, just incredibly. And as Thomas was saying, that if you want a lap dance from Diana Krall, then single driver speakers will give it to you. That's absolutely true, because they are really centered on human voice. So they don't like those recordings where you want a mechanized sound, where you want such aspects from the sound come in the front, which is not present in acoustic instruments. So where they excel with human voice. They really excel with flute and all kind of woodwind instruments. They are just astonishing with woodwinds, and we can look at different types of loudspeaker technologies and magnephones and others, but woodwinds, the absolute king is void pipes and full range or single driver speakers. They are just a class on their own. So if you're a flute player, these are your speakers. Other than flute and human voices, what can they do really well for you? They are really excellent with violin. I have to tell that for multi-driver speakers, even at the most expensive and most esoteric price ranges, I can barely sit through listening through a violin recording without having like rashes come up on my skin, because it's just so butchering, terrible, atrocious. And single driver speakers are astonishingly good with violins. So if you are a violin player, that's for you. And I have noticed that I am pointing at my single driver speakers, but that's true for the vast majority of single driver speakers, that they just do a fabulous job with violins and string instruments in general, including guitars. And I would also include piano as well. I have listened to many pianos played live, and many piano recordings through the single driver speakers, and they have the capacity to really faithfully reproduce a piano. And so if you are a musician, you are a music lover, then that's what you want, and you love piano, they are your loudspeakers. But yet, as Thomas was saying, it's not all peachy. And as he showed, the big Lee Song speaker, the one that was the single driver that did not have the added woofer, he said that even though it can play really deep, the mid bass is not prominent. So when you are used to soundtracks where you want that punching, pumping mid-range, not mid-range, mid-bass songs that are where you want it to pop out, where you want the bass guitar to dominate the scene, they won't do it. They are not built for that. They are built for the human voice. The human voice is the star of the show. And I would say, even if you want to play a full orchestra, depending on the amplification used with them and your room acoustics, they can be either astonishingly phenomenal with it or not cut the mustard. But usually, in my experience, what I have found, that's largely due to not good match with the room, not good match with the amplifier, and not perfect loudspeaker placement. And now we come to the point. Let me see, we are at 10 minutes. I don't want to make a too long video. They are what I call indicator loudspeakers. So I have experimented and experienced with all kinds of loudspeakers, from magnepans, open buffers, single drivers, two-way speakers, horns, whatever. And out of all of them, the single drivers are the most sensitive indicator loudspeakers. And that means that whatever change you make in your components, and that also applies to changes in your room acoustics, they are the ones that have the greatest sensitivity to show the nuances, what's happening. And they are just sensitive to the nth degree to everything that you do in your chain. And I think everyone will learn a lot if they try out single driver speakers. I would say, even if you are that kind like me who have fun building speakers, or you already have many different sets of speakers and you are just a collector of loudspeakers, then I would say, even if you do not like them unreservedly, or you hear one and you are ambivalent about it, it will be of tremendous benefit to your audio journey to have a pair for you, and just put them in your system, listen, and you are, let's say, buying a new deck, you are changing the new deck, and those single driver speakers will show you really what's the difference between your old deck and the new deck. And they will show the difference is much better than any other loudspeaker. And why is that good? Because you will have a much better idea what your each and individual components are bringing to your table. And once you get to the point that you upgrade from your current speakers to something completely different, maybe, then you will not be shocked or disappointed, because you can already expect that you have a baseline. You know what each of your component has brought to the table. And when you have a better loudspeaker that can resolve more than what you have currently, then the single driver speakers have already reported to you what you can expect. So basically, let's say you have a pair of Bauer Wilkins DM803 speakers and you are buying a new deck. And when you listen to your old deck and to your new deck, the speakers show some sort of difference. And you think that difference is really tiny, not big. And then you plug in, let's say, a pair of single driver speakers, and you think, they don't have enough bass. The vocal is phenomenal. It just butchers the Bauer Wilkins, but there's no bass. I'm listening to Sting, and then the bass guitar is not there. I don't wanna, or it's there. My wife says that it's fantastic. It sounds much better than the B&W, but I can't hear it. I need the B&W's bass. And so when you plug in your single driver speakers, then you will notice things that the new deck is doing that the old one was not doing. Oh my God, this is night and day different. So now you know that the difference between the two decks is very substantial. But you put back your regular B&W speakers and you go on about your business. But you can be ready that when you are ready to change your B&Ws to upgrade to a much better model, then you can expect that your new deck will perform much better than with your current speakers. So this is what I mean by indicator loudspeaker. So they indicate very accurately what each of your components is bringing to the table, and they are indicating the quality of your room. So if you do changes to your room acoustics, especially when it applies to bass quality, they are insanely sensitive. And basically your room, in most cases, does totally make or break how well they reproduce bass. And the room itself, what you do in your room, makes a much, I would say, a bigger difference with single driver speakers than adding a sub to traditional speakers. They are that sensitive to everything and anything that you do. And that's why I would say be very, very cautious when people tell about their experiences with single driver speakers, because they really report what your system is doing and what your room is doing. And they are total chameleons because of that. So if you feed them electronics that has mechanical sound, they will sound very mechanical. And if you put in your regular traditional three-way speakers and it doesn't sound as mechanical, and then you blame it on your single driver, that's the one that sounded mechanical. But no, what has happening is that the crossover in your three ways is smearing the sound to such a degree that you lose that mechanical character coming from your source and from your amplifier. And as you see, it is a very, very delicate dance to balance out your system. And what I have experienced in the 20 years is that single driver speakers are extremely sensitive and very delicate dancers, and they will react to the slightest failings in your system. So you have to be, I would say, one way, very brave to try them out. But that braveness applies only when you want perfection, when you want really punchy bass, and you want them to be strong with those attributes where multi-driver speakers are strong. So you are kind of expecting the unreasonable. You can get the unreasonable from them, but then you need to demand perfection from yourself for the rest of your audio system. And here I'm showing a specimen that can deliver that perfection that multi-drivers excel at. So what I'm pointing at, this is the Cube Audio FC8 driver in my void pipe. So this is a void pipe of my design, which is based on Derek Walton's design, and Derek Walton took Paul Voigt's original pipe as the basis for his void pipe, and I basically just resized it to match my Fostex FE driver better. And then after the Fostex FE, the surround died, rotted away, then I changed it for the Cube Audio FC8. And in this combination, it does what people want to hear from single drivers, but before trying out this, I never ever heard that. And what it is, it's you are getting, basically, I would say I have not measured the top end. I'm just depending on my ears, and my hearing is good up to 20 kilohertz, and I'm really sensitive in the top end frequencies, and they just play as high as I expect anything to play, and they play down to 25 hertz. And how am I saying that? Is that down to 25 hertz, they energize the room. So it's not just that I put in a microphone and I can measure the 25 hertz signal, and I kind of did that. I used my iPads and my iPhone's app, oscilloscope app, and I can see the 25 hertz, like the lowest bar, like jumping up and down with the signal when there's the woo woo. But much more important than that, when I'm listening to music that has really deep bass, I feel that it just energizes the room. So for example, where they are super strong is like modern ambient music with electronica, like trance and psytrance, like those genres where you want like subwoofers and really hardcore stuff, which is really specialized in producing a lot of deep bass. And that's something where you never ever think single driver can work. And yes, these guys, they can with my 2-watt amplifier. Is just completely mind-blowing what they can do. But if you want them to produce that sort of experience, they are capable even to reach that. But I have not heard that in any commercial loudspeaker so far. This is something I had to toy with and discover it for myself. And in case you are wondering about it, that's the greatest strength of full range drivers, that they allow you to toy with them and to discover so many things. And all of those friends of mine who started going down this full range driver journey, they are having a major blast. And I'm having a major mess too with them. And I have additional full range driver speakers, but now I'm past 20 minutes. So thank you for tuning in with me. I made a little list of attributes of single drivers I wanted to talk about. Of course, I didn't even look at the list and haven't mentioned any of them. So maybe next video. So thank you, Thomas, for that wonderful video. Those Lisong speakers are just truly gorgeous. And I could talk more about them. Why the full range driver Lisong speaker is so much centered on the vocals, but it's not as good with the orchestra. It's part of the design and part of a specific part of the design on how the driver is integrated into the cabinet. But that's talk for a much longer discussion. So please like, subscribe, have an awesome day. Bye bye.